I'm going to be showing you how to do the ABCDE format. So what I always tell my students to do before we begin is to create an outline. So I already have my MLA format up here. I already named this, which usually you'll do that at the end. So let's just for right now call this a creative title, and we'll go back and make one. And then I actually tell my students to have this outline of the ABCDE format: attention grabber, background information, central thesis. And then each of their body paragraphs is going to have topic sentence, 2 pieces of evidence, which is really just information that supports your claim of the topic sentence, and analysis, which explains how that evidence ties into your claim. And you're going to do that anywhere from 3 to 5 times. But if you want a standard 5-paragraph essay, you're going to have 3 paragraphs in the middle. So 1, 2, here's my third body paragraph, and then I'm going to have my ending. So starting here is we're going to start with the central thesis, and the question is posed: should the death penalty be banned? Now, this is an argumentative topic, but you can still use it as an informative topic. You can use this outline for informative topics. You're just not going to have a counterclaim. So if you are watching this video for an informative essay, whenever I talk about the counterclaim, just ignore that section, because otherwise the informative essay is literally the exact same thing as an argumentative essay. So, central thesis. Generally, before I tell you to go and write your central thesis, do your research and figure out what side you actually are on after analyzing the evidence. But for the sake of keeping this video concise, I'm just going to tell you one side of it. So this isn't necessarily what I believe, but I'm just going to give you an example. So should the death penalty be banned? Let's say we want to argue yes. And here in my central thesis right now, I'm just going to come up with a few ideas off the top of my head. Prior to making this video, I looked up a few things, so I already have these ideas, but you can even Google, like, should the death penalty be banned, and look for the 3 strongest reasons on your side, or evidence that supports your claim. So maybe I want to argue that there's going to be innocent people could be hurt. Maybe I want to argue that the prison system should be for rehabilitative purposes. Maybe I want to argue that there is corruption. Maybe I want to argue that it's expensive, like the death penalty itself is expensive. Maybe I want to argue that it's cruel or unusual punishment. And then I want to think, what are the biggest reasons? This is going to be my counterclaim. What are the biggest reasons other people think that the death penalty is a good idea, that it should not be banned? And maybe I want to argue that others think that the punishment fits the crime, or maybe that it's a deterrent. Deterrent just means that I can't spell apparently. Deterrent. Basically, deterrent just means that they won't commit the crime if they know what the consequence is. Or maybe people think that it's too expensive to keep people alive in the penal system, or maybe they think that it's overpopulated in jail, whatever the case is. So now what we're going to do is I've kind of brainstormed, and this takes a lot more time, again, if you have not researched or if you don't know a lot about the topic. So don't feel bad if this entire process takes, 30 minutes to an hour to complete. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get all of these ideas, or the most important parts of these ideas, into a central thesis. So I might say something like, the death penalty should be banned in the United States because of innocent lives lost. I'm going to say this is my most important argument, and I'm going to give one more. I'm going to say, and lacks the ability to rehabilitate. Despite, actually, I'm going to make my counterclaim up here. So I'm going to say, despite many people thinking that the death penalty acts as a deterrent, and I just said the death penalty here, so I'm going to change this wording a little bit and say, despite many people thinking that the death penalty acts as a deterrent, this punishment should be banned in the United States because of innocent lives lost and I'm going to say its inability to rehabilitate. All right, so there's my central thesis. I'm going to go ahead and color that green. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this thesis and divide it up into 2 to 3-ish parts. So right here, this first one is going to be my despite many people thinking that the death penalty acts as a deterrent. That's going to be my topic sentence for this first paragraph. Then this punishment should be banned in the United States because of innocent lives lost. That'll be my second topic sentence. And my third one will be its inability to rehabilitate. So we're going to start here. And I'm going to say the death penalty is ineffective as a deterrent, despite what many people may think. So now this mirrors this. My next one is going to have to be about innocent lives lost. So this topic sentence will be something like, one can never be sure that the correct person is being punished. All right, and then my last one is about the inability to rehabilitate. So I will say something like, using the death penalty removes any chance of prisoner rehabilitation. All right, cool. So now that I have all 3 of those, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to my background information, in which I would start writing about the death penalty. So conveniently, I've already pulled up this article from CNN called Death Penalty Fast Facts. As of May 13th, okay, it's legal in 29 US states. 25 people were executed in the United States in 2018. I'm going to just keep looking through this. 54 women have been executed. Timeline. All right. So I'm just going to take a little bit of information from this to give my background information. So I am going to say something like, within the United States, now I'll just say the death penalty in 29 US states. And I'm going to say something like, the death penalty also known as capital punishment, is legal in 29 states. What else can I say about it? Looking through. I'm probably going to use the timeline. I like timelines. Pennsylvania becomes the first state to move executions. I'm gonna say that Michigan became the first state to abolish the death penalty. So I'm gonna say, except for treason, except for cases of, Michigan became the first state in the U.S. to abolish capital punishment in 1846. What else do I want to say? Yeah, let's just end there. If I had more information to include, I can always go back and include it. But yeah, like it's not really necessary to include more than a few sentences, but it's up to you on how much you want to include. I would like to know how many people total have been executed for the death penalty, and I'd probably include this here, but I'm just trying to get this done quickly for you guys so you can see what it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and color this blue, I think is the right color. Now, my attention grabber, I've already conveniently pulled this up, the innocence and the death penalty. Now, the attention grabber, a lot of times I see people do a few big no-nos. Should the death penalty be banned? Is a big no-no. It would also be a big no-no to say, since the dawn of humanity, people have questioned the death penalty. These are both just really like cringy attention grabbers for us as language arts teachers to read. So instead you want to use like an interesting fact or a clever thought or an anecdote. And so I found that 18 people have been proven innocent and exonerated by DNA testing in the United States after serving time on death row. So I'm going to say, I'm just going to like reword this. So I'm going to say something like, due to evidence later revealed, the Innocence, I think it's called the Innocence Project. Yeah, there we go. The Innocence Project reported 18 executed on death row reported 18 people executed on death row to later be found innocent. All right, so that's going to be my attention grabber. And also, just as a reminder, the way that we get this is EasyBib, Manage Bibliography. This is how I'm going to get my sources. So I'm going to take this one, I copy it, I put it over here in the website, and you can look through this later, but I don't want you to like get into the habit of doing this all later. I like to do it as I go. So I am just going to call this one The Innocent because it doesn't have a title. My background information was the one coming from CNN, so I'm going to take that, copy it, paste it over here, search it up, select it, Death penalty.